I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I mean, between the Jet fans of my life and the Giant fans of my life, just absolutely torturing me as this game was going on. And then as it ended, the fact that it ended, one of my Giant fans said, we lost the game in such a Jet way. It's unbelievable. Yeah. He goes, I was watching my Giants play the neutral zone trap all game long. That was, God. I mean, I can't. I mean, I had a hard time sleeping last night just because I just kept thinking over and over and over all the different things that were happening. And had the Giants won, what it was going to be like, it was going to be a Jet bloodbath this morning. I don't care what anybody says. The fact that you almost lost to a team that had -9 yards passing and didn't even attempt to pass until overtime with their third string quarterback I've never seen that. I'm telling you, I've never seen anything like it. And Morstead, by the way, the punter for the Jets, was the MVP of the game.
I know, he was great. Apparently he was crying after the game, Jerry was saying on the warm-up show, which I did not see or hear that, but apparently he was crying.
Punters shouldn't be crying after games.
He was so emotional.
And I like Thomas. He's great. I've interviewed him. He's great. He's a great dude, and he's a really great punter. But, my God, 24 punts and 23 points. Yeah. 24 punts and 23 points. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they didn't even set the record. The Chargers and the Raiders back in '98 had 27 punts in a game. So this is the second most punts in a game. And it came during an era where the forward pass is a real thing. But you would never know it if you watch these teams play.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, I know it was raining, and I know it wasn't that windy, but I know it was raining and it was inclement weather. And I want to, as a former player, appreciate the elements in which they were playing. But as everybody on the NFL Today yesterday were just saying, like, we've never seen a game played like this. And, Coach Cower always says, it's okay to punt. I said, Coach, is it okay to punt 24 times? And he goes, well, if you win, it is. I mean,
True.
And that's ultimately what Rob Saleh is saying. I mean, there's a million things to get into in this game. Saquon Barkley, his pay should be tripled. Mm-hmm. You're paying him to do all of that work, and he had a fantastic game. And Kayvon Thibodeau, a guy that you and I both have criticized since he got here, had a monster game, but just made a key mistake at the end that stopped the clock for the Jets and gave the Jets another chance at a completion. And even Zach Wilson, again, that last play, 17 seconds, he runs out of the pocket, throws it against the grain. The receiver doesn't go down immediately. He's trying to run to get more yards. And they almost blow it at the end of the game. And quite frankly, I put out that final video of the Jets.
You went viral yesterday.
I did. Well, the Jets won. The center is now spotting the ball in the NFL at the end of these games because the NFL is making this crap up as they go along. That should never happen that way. And the official comes screaming in there and swipe the ball, and that's spotting the ball. I mean, what happens if that play is happening on fourth down? Let's say it's fourth down.
Right.
What happens? What happens at that point? So the Jet center, any center for that matter. And by the way, this is their third string center.
Right.
This is a guy right off the practice squad who had the awareness to do this. So good for him. That's great that he was able to get away with this. And I know the NFL had this issue last year in the playoffs, I think, with the Cowboys. But I personally thought the game should have ended right there and the Giants should have won. I picked the Jets to win the game.
Yes, of course, we know.
And that's why I feel like if this is the way these games are going to go down at the end, and this is okay, if this play was completed on fourth down and you didn't know whether or not it was a first down or it was a turnover on downs, and the Jets center puts the ball for a first down, I mean, then what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how an official doesn't blow that dead at that point and just walks over and taps the ball and gives them that opportunity. I mean, how the hell does the center know where the ball is supposed to be. Like, the official has to spot the ball.
But the official's not anywhere near the ball because the umpire is stationed behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, tough crap then. If the clock is running out, you got to make sure that you got more time on there.
And I know that there are people that will argue with me. I'm just telling you, the NFL's making this up as they go along. I mean, this is crap. That the official needs to spot the ball. But hey, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The Jets won a game.
Yeah.
The Giants are in the midst of another meaningless season. Brian Daboll's going to take just so much heat for trying to kick the field goal there at the end as opposed to going for it. There's so many.
Well, what do you think? I was fine with kicking the field goal. I was like, there's no way Graham Gano is missing another one because he's been so consistent for them. He does miss another one. There was no way the Jets were going down the field with that.
I think he was distracted because of what's his name, McDonald jumping over the line.
Yeah.
I think that really distracted him. And then all of a sudden at the end of the game, game's over. Brian Daboll's talking about Graham Gano having a bad leg. Has a bad plant leg.
Injured, which we didn't know during the game.
Then don't put him out there then in that situation.
I don't know. I didn't know that he was hurt when he was going for these field goals, but I had no problem with it because there's no way that the Jets were going to go down and score a touchdown with that amount of time on the clock at that spot. There was no way. So kicking the field goal essentially would have won the game. So I didn't have a problem with that. I had a problem earlier with the first field goal. I wanted them to go for it, where Graham Gano missed the first one. That's where earlier in the game on that fourth down, that's where I wanted him to go for it. And by the way, the not throwing the ball and all of that Brian Daboll did essentially worked. Like, everything that he was trying to do to preserve that win worked outside of Graham Gano kicking the field goal.
Do you remember when Joe Judge was running quarterback sneaks on first down?
Right.
Remember that? Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that essentially worked too. But the perception was that the coach was way too conservative and way too protective of a quarterback. And quite frankly, I think Giant fans are like, they didn't even attempt to pass with
but they had Tommy DeVito.
I understand that. Don't have the guy in the look. Tyson Bagent's throwing the. I didn't expect them to win last night. They weren't going to win because Justin Herbert was going to put up points and Tyson Bagent was going to throw interceptions. And Tyson Bagent is an undrafted free agent out of Shepherd University. They're throwing the ball with him all over the field. I think they threw the ball 37 times.
But not every guy is the same. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, Tyson Bagent is better. And they gave Tommy DeVito an opportunity to throw the ball a couple times when he first came in. It didn't look like he had any idea what the hell was going on. I think at that point, Brian Daboll made the decision that, hell, let's just play defense. Zach Wilson is horrendous. Our defense is pretty good. And let's just run the ball with Saquon Barkley. I thought that was smart. I mean, I know there's guys all over the place that come out of nowhere and play well. Tommy DeVito's not one of those guys.
Yeah, I understand that. But I'm thinking that Giant fans are, I think it goes back to the field goal and the injury supposedly that Graham Gano has. Now, do we see Graham Gano go on the injured list this week?
Well,
that's going to be an interesting thing. And the other thing is, is Daniel Jones going to come back this week and play? I mean, supposedly
you can't rush him back from a neck injury, right?
Well, they haven't rushed him back. If anything,
I know, but I'm saying now with the circumstances now.
Well, we were told yesterday, and insider reports, all that kind of stuff, that he's going to be ready to go this week. Now we'll see on Wednesday when he goes out to practice. Supposedly he had numbness on his left side. That is not a good thing. This looks like this is going to be a meaningless season for the New York Giants right now. I mean, it's just you can't even explain the way that this thing ended yesterday. And then with the Jets, the undisciplined Jets, penalties on defense, penalty on special teams when you got the Giants backed up, and a Adoree Jackson penalty in overtime.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
That was the only way the Giants could really move the ball other than Saquon Barkley was with the Jets penalties. That was it. That was the only time that you saw them go down the field is when the Jets committed personal fouls. It's just so bad. It was just so, and then because there was intensity, like imagine not caring about either one of these teams and having to watch that game. Like the only reason why it was in any way palatable was because it's the Jets and Giants and the fan bases and someone's got to win and whatever. But I mean, it was just, the fact that we had to sit through that and the quarterback play that we have had to endure in this town since the end of the Eli Manning era where he wasn't even playing well, those last couple, it has been borderline criminal. I mean, it is pathetic. You see it, you said it all over the league. There's guys that come out of nowhere. A guy like Will Levis who's having the day that he has. The best thing, and I know you hate when I bring it up, but this is to prove a point. The best quarterback we have seen here in like 7 years is Mike White. I mean, honestly, he's the only guy who played the position competently since the end of Eli Manning.
I'm not going to argue with you.
I mean, even Daniel Jones last year, he had a great game against the Vikings and some other good games in there, but he only had what? What do we always talk about? 12 touchdown passes last year? 14, whatever it is, 15?
Yes.
I mean, he had an okay season. But honestly, the best throwing quarterback we have seen here in like 7 years was a couple of games of Mike White. I mean, and yesterday was the pinnacle of this. You couldn't play the position worse than those guys did. You couldn't. There are guys in the NFL, not even the top guys, but there are guys in the NFL, pick anyone, I don't even care, that could play a better game drunk. I'm serious. And like on psychedelics. Like Aaron Rodgers could have been on ayahuasca with a torn Achilles and played better than Zach Wilson and Tommy DeVito yesterday.
Yeah, well, I think people saw Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball before the game, and they're thinking, man, please get back. Oh. And by the way, your boy Kirk Cousins goes down with an Achilles now.
Of course. Yeah, I know.
And you had guys going down all over the field yesterday and had nothing to do with turf. A lot of guys got hurt playing on grass. A bunch of guys for the Patriots got hurt playing down in Miami. And, of course, Kirk Cousins gets hurt at Lambeau Field. Nobody touches him.
I know. Just really unfortunate, and you feel terrible for him. The team, of course, is another one of those. Nobody cares about the Vikings this morning, but another one of those Vikings things, 1-4 to 4-4. They go up there. They beat the hell out of the Packers. Kirk Cousins is now a guy that everybody loves after the quarterback documentary, playing his ass off. Justin Jefferson's going to get healthy. NFC looks a little bit down. Maybe they'll get back into it. Pop. Achilles gone. See you. Season over.
Well, the good news for Kirk Cousins is that, his season, unfortunately, is over. But the good news, like I said, is that he's going to have more than enough time to go through rehab and be ready to go next year. Now, the question is, who's going to sign him? How good is he going to be? And what kind of contract is he going to sign? Because, he wanted the extension this year. They wouldn't give it to him. And now this is what happens when you play on the last year of your contract. And he's been betting on himself his entire career, and he'll bet on himself again next year. But unfortunately for him, he's going to be he's an unrestricted free agent, and he doesn't have any sort of, I would say, protection going into next year. In other words, no long-term contract.
Now, I mean, if Daniel Jones doesn't play this week,
what do they do?
Because I don't think that Tyrod Taylor's playing. He goes to the hospital with the rib injury. I'm assuming he's not going to play. Hey, can you put Tommy DeVito back out there? Can you sign Matt Barkley off the street, who came in here for a workout the other week, and with the familiarity with Bryant? I mean, what can you do to try to win a football game?
Well, I guess it all depends on the health of Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones is ready to go, DeVito's the backup. Maybe they bring in Barkley, put him on the practice squad, and that's the way they go into their next game. The next game's the Raiders, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so they'll go into their next game against the Raiders in that regard. Now, if Daniel Jones cannot go, then the question is, okay, Matt Barkley most likely would be here, and I would think that DeVito would start the game and then get the quick hook if things weren't working. I mean, it is about as look. It was bad with Joe Judge was here and Daniel Jones got hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, we're approaching that, and I agree with you. I think that Brian Daboll played the game yesterday to win it the way he thought his team could win the game, and the one decision to kick the field goal and them missing it, and then a sweet sequence of events that took place at the end of that game, both in regulation and in overtime, was just remarkable. That's the only word I can use. Like you couldn't script it any worse way for the New York Giants.
Yeah, and I would have kicked the field goal. Like I said, I didn't know about the Gano injury at the time, but kicking the field goal was a smart thing. If they had not kicked the field goal and went for it on 4th and 1, when everybody knew that Saquon Barkley was going to get the ball because they weren't going to put it in the hands of Tommy DeVito. I mean, think about all the other situations people could have critiqued. Like, if they made Tommy DeVito throw the ball on 4th and 1, like, what the hell are you going to make him throw now? If they gave it to Saquon Barkley, you just knew that Saquon was getting the ball. The Jets keyed on that. You should have kicked the field goal. I mean, there was really, the bottom line is that Graham Gano needed to make the field goal. That was it. It was the right decision, and he missed again.
And the problem is the Jets have a huge problem at quarterback. Again, 4th and 1, Breece Hall wide open. And, Zach Wilson throws it at his feet.
Yeah. I mean,
we haven't really seen that And that showed up in the biggest spot in the game yesterday.
Yeah, miscommunication too, a couple of times. Garrett Wilson getting frustrated again. Wide receivers sprinting down the sideline. Zach Wilson expecting the guy to stop, and the ball's just there. Sitting on the turf, spinning. No wide receiver to be found. I mean, it's just like,
Well, the other aspect of it too was, there are a couple times where he just completely loses, like in real time, loses the down clock and just is not even aware of it. And it's remarkable to me. And again, I don't believe that last play should have been allowed to have been run because 17 seconds is more than enough time to be able to do what they did, but not the way that they did it. And the way, 17 seconds, this is the same thing that happened in Denver.
Yeah.
You cannot throw the ball after you've broken the pocket, run around, and then throw the ball against the grain, and then receiver not even realizing you got to go down right now, hand the ball to the official, have him spot it, and then freaking snap the ball and spike it. It almost happened again.
It should have happened.
And it should have happened, but it didn't because of the way these stupid, they make up these rules as they go on.
All right,
I've never seen, I'm telling you, for the life of me, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen anything. I've been covering football, and I played football, and I played in crappy games. I've never seen anything like it. Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.